The following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, in the evenings in Chicago. Love that town. WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the beautiful Emerald City of Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW at night. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Wednesday. Nice to have you with us here today. Matt Patrick here today. Jeff Stein is going to join us. He's actually live. Of course, if you've not been part of this, and in Seattle, Chicago, you might not have heard this before. Stein is one of these Independence Day absolutists that, I mean, if you want to get into a verbal argument with the man, say Happy 4th of July. How dare you? How dare you? He says. He's good people. They're a little high strung down there. I mean, they're all going to die in Iowa. Anyway, Patrick, how are we today?
Doing pretty well. That reminds me, I know of a guy, if you call it President's Day, he'll get on you. No, it's Washington's birthday.
Dude, I'm going to fight you. All righty. Okay. I mean, I wish my life was so easy I could get upset about things like this, but okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
Have you seen the Twins batting lineup? They're horrible.
Yeah, 4 hits in 2 games.
Against Miami. Never mind. Okay, I got to put that aside. We got to put that aside. You and I, we're not going to be here tomorrow or on the 4th. We got best of shows. Schechter, I believe, is tomorrow, correct? I believe we got that show right.
Yes, that's correct.
And then we've got Cooligan and Philip Beither from the Walker Art Museum. They're going to be joining us on Friday. Those best of shows for you. The thing we always say: be careful out there. Drive safe. Do not lose a limb or a digit. Be smart with fireworks if you are going to be going with them. Probably hold off on the liquor if you're going to be playing with them. Just Matt's suggestion of the day. Have a wonderful Independence Day holiday and drive safe. Be back here. We got brand new shows lined up for you for weeks to come here, starting on Monday. So make sure you're here for that. So yeah, look forward to getting out there. I've already got. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 meals for sure. I'm cooking on the grill. 3 meals for sure. I got burgers on the 4th. I'm actually going to be doing some shrimp on the grill. Okay, it's I'm not going to do the Australian line because it's Independence Day weekend here. No, it's shrimp on the grill, not shrimp on the Barbie. I'm not going to do that. I'm thinking of doing some pork chops tomorrow night, man. Grilled pork chops. That's a solid entry, I think.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I've got some bratwurst and hot dogs. I'm going to assemble the potato salad tonight because the secret to a good homemade potato salad, you kind of have to let it settle in the fridge.
You do. Yes, you do. You have to have all those flavors merge. You make homemade potato salad. Folks, this is why I love these guys. I'm presuming I'm not going to get any.
Well, if it lasts until Monday,
it's going to be homemade potato salad. It ain't going to make it past Friday, man. There's no way on the planet. Do you do a mustard based, or is it what's your coating?
Just the traditional mayo mustard. It's actually very simple. It's just mayo, mustard, and dill with some onion in it.
Oh God, that sounds good. All right, wow. All right, no matter what you're diving into, have a good one. As a matter of fact, let me start with that today, because yesterday I didn't realize it was going to be another one of these therapy sessions, but this is kind of my life right now. I have to do a lot of therapy for a lot of people out there who are, frankly, going through some things, and I don't blame them because this sucks. This does suck. I mentioned yesterday on the show that the amount of Americans proud to be Americans is the lowest on record right now. It's at 56%. It's 5 points lower than the pandemic. And it's not, I mean, I love this country. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army. I am so proud I served. I love the U.S. Army. If you're thinking about a career choice, go Army. I do like the military. It is a brilliant organization. Unfortunately, currently it's being run by complete and total incompetent idiots and a drunk. I am proud of my country at times. I'm not proud of a lot of the things that Trump is doing. There are a lot of beautiful things about this country. I've traveled extensively through the United States, Chicago. Come on, Chicago. The brilliance of the Chicago hot dog, deep dish pizza. I do love deep dish pizza. And the beauty of that city. God, man, Chicago's amazing. And the Great Lakes are amazing. I was just up in Duluth last week. Duluth, amazing town. Seattle. I can't tell you how much I love sitting at Ivar's and having a big bowl of clams, man, because that is one of my favorite meals on the planet. And your city is gorgeous, but not just your city. Everywhere you go in that state is gorgeous. Everywhere you go. And you go south of there, Oregon is gorgeous. You go down to California. I love San Francisco. I do. I love San Francisco. The parks of California are amazing. The parks of Utah are amazing. Arizona is gorgeous. I have enjoyed many a great ear of corn and pork chop in Iowa. I lived in Rhode Island for a long time. Trust me, seafood, Italian food, love it. Love the New England area. Love South Carolina. I spent a lot of time down in coastal South Carolina, and it is stunningly beautiful and gorgeous, and the cultures down there are brilliant. We are a great country regardless of who is residing in the White House. But I understand. I can understand your apathy towards Independence Day this year. Not a lot of people feel real proud about waving the red, white, and blue out there. We're living in a country where people voted for other Americans to suffer with a smile on their face. Currently, we live in a country where racism and bigotry are on display, proudly being waved. We have a president who's pocketed billions in private money since he came into office. Billions of dollars he has grifted off of people. Billions of dollars. It's a money-making venture for the man that should be in jail. Damn you, Merrick Garland. Damn you. Currently, we have a country that's at war with non-white people, non-white Christian heterosexual, although, I mean, let's face it, a lot of the people in the Republican Party, there's a lot of closets that they like to leave closed, don't they? And a lot of people who are there who do like watching other people suffer, and they relish in it, and they wrap it themselves in it like it's a warm blanket. We have people in this country who are intentionally for hurting the poor and the sick. We are watching the institutions that are supposed to protect us and enlighten us and educate us cave to this Neanderthalic troglodyte who's dragging his knuckles on the ground. And there, frankly, are sadly something we have to admit. There seems to be a lot of anti-Christian Christians out there who are eagerly ready to start digging pits in soccer field. And that is scary stuff. Trump has done what he has always done. He's emboldened the racists and the bigots and the anti-American jackasses, the selfish, the losers, the 20-time losers who can't get out of their own damn way, but can't blame themselves for the mistakes that they have made in their lives. And currently, they're already working as hard as they can to paint this administration as not nearly as evil and as vindictive and as racist and as bigoted as it is, and that the Republicans, they actually helped you. And all this was done because of those darn Democrats. Yep. And I said all this was going to happen a year ago if this guy got into office. I saw this coming, this cad coming down the street with his doors wide open. I begged, I pleaded, I'd asked you, for God's sakes, don't put this madman back in office. And the Republicans and their bankrollers and Twitter did a hell of a job at convincing just enough Democrats to stay at home or independents to not vote. The whole goal, I said this years ago when Trump first ran, and I said it repeatedly last year. Trump is an actual crap sandwich. And you have an option that might not be your first choice of actual food, but it still is edible food. And Trump and the Republicans are magnificent at convincing yourself that your ham and cheese sandwich on rye, which might not be your first choice, is no better than the actual crap sandwich that they are, and convinced enough people to take a bite. And here we are. We have yet another reminder that you cannot take any elections off. And I already know Democrats in 2 years are going to be sitting and saying, hey, do we need to vote? Yes, you do. And even these milquetoast, flippity-floppity, weak Democrats that we have that are far more concerned about the Republicans than themselves, I'm still going to vote for them. And you know why? Because it's still better than madness. You're right. There is not a lot to celebrate this Independence holiday. But I'm going to challenge you to find it. Find those neighbors who are scared. And there are a lot of people who are scared, who are being marginalized. Do not let Trump win because he wants us scared and feeling like we're alone. He wants to be the epitome, the king of anti-Americanism. And we do not bow to kings. And that is America. We do not bow down to kings, even the idiot king raised upon high by the idiots and morons that have served him and he has surrounded himself with. I beg you to support Independence Day because Independence Day is the day that we threw out tyranny like Donald Trump. And I will be damned if I sit back and allow my country to be taken down into the grottos of hell by that orange-haired buffoon. I mean, really, his face does. I mean, dear Lord, how did you fall for this guy again? How? Happy Independence Day. Let's all celebrate it and celebrate it proudly. We'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having its annual store-wide sale. For the entire month of July, all of our indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at their lowest price of the year. At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display, explain, and install the Twin Cities' most diverse selection of indoor and outdoor stoves and fireplaces, including metal and masonry pizza ovens.
While shopping for a fireplace insert at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, I was amazed at all the choices. Not just gas, electric, or wood burning, but also built-in or freestanding, and options in every style from antique to modern. The staff listened to us, explained the options, and helped us choose a fireplace we love. Now it warms our hearts and our home every winter. Thank you, Woodland Stoves, for a great addition.
Come see us. We have over 35 working displays in our store, which is just off I-94 at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
Boldly challenging ableism is here to go where some people won't. I'm Katrina Simons, and every week I'm digging into the real impact of ableism. breaking down myths, calling out barriers, and pushing for a world where disabled people belong in every space. With my work at the University of Minnesota's Institute on Community Integration and a lifetime of lived experience, I'm diving into everything from employment and housing to justice and culture. And yeah, I bring some humor and heart along the way. Catch us Sundays at 2 p.m. right here on AM 950, or listen anytime by finding Boldly Challenging Ableism on YouTube or your favorite podcast app.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. All right, I got to get through a litany of things because once again, we got Stein coming up here at the bottom of the hour. I got to talk to him about a lot of things here. But okay, so Trump has now announced a new trade deal, Vietnam. He's got a trade deal. And it is my great honor to announce that I just made a trade deal with the Socialist Republic of Vietnam after speaking with the highly respected General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, Trump said on Truth Social Wednesday. It's amazing how nice he treats him as he also badmouths the Democratic candidate for mayor in New York. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Trump said that all imports, who, by the way, is not a communist, is a social democrat, but yet, you know, the way he badmouths him as a commie and Marxist, as he said, let me tell you about how much I love hugging the commies over in Vietnam. That's okay. Just a little bit off there. So he goes out there, he announces this. Okay, tariffs. Trump said that all imports from Vietnam will be taxed at 20% with a 40% tax on transshipping. He goes on to celebrate the United States will have total access to sell U.S. goods in Vietnam. The foreign affairs journalist Olga Nestrava explained Trump is taxing Americans 20 to 40% while Vietnam gets products for free. However, the country's economy and cost of living and salaries are vastly different than those in the United States. And this is one of the things which is just amazing is he says, oh, we're going to open up the country here. Okay. How much money do you think the standard Vietnamese citizen has? A hotel, or excuse me, an apartment in the city center in Vietnam is $400 a month. Soda is 50 cents a can. You get a bottle is actually a 12-ounce bottle is 50 cents. A phone program is $6 over there. You can make, let's say you make a pair of pants in the United States and you ship it over there, okay? At the cheapest, it's going to be a U.S.-made pair of pants. At cheapest, it's going to be $10. In Vietnam, they already make a lot of pants, and they're about 50 cents a piece. How much American pants do you think they're going to buy? They're not going to be buying our product. As a matter of fact, most of the world doesn't like Americans and actually goes out of their way to avoid buying American products if they can. Meanwhile, once again, there is this lie that they keep telling that these tariffs are somehow going to be paid for by the Vietnamese. No, we need Vietnam's imports into our country. We need those here. And he just put a 20 to 40% tax on all imports from Vietnam. We got screwed on this deal. He is the worst negotiator I have ever seen. He just doesn't seem to understand. Okay, granted, yeah, they're going to open up our markets and they can take our products, but doesn't mean they're going to buy them. And it doesn't mean the community, the citizens of this country have the wherewithal and the means to buy them. Yet here he is. We did awesome. We're the most awesomest awesomes of all time. That deal is horrible for the United States. That deal is horrible for the United States. And once again, even if you are an American business saying, hey, they've opened up the market, are they going to buy from you? I also wanted to make sure I mentioned two things here in regards to the Trump war on anyone who's not white. And I'm talking like powder white. Trump's immigration crackdown is hitting key pockets of the economy, disrupting workplaces and communities around the country. The sharp fall in immigrants this year threatens to slow down economic growth, particularly in the sectors and cities which relied on newcomers to the U.S. in recent years. With the push against immigration, the economy will find itself slightly diminished in the long run, and inflation will run a touch higher. But now they're saying, what's the number they're saying? That the GDP, Yaros estimates the long run, the GDP, because of the lack of immigrant labor in this country, is actually going to shrink by 0.25 point, 0.25%. Our economy needs immigrants to be able to function at its prime form. Without them, it actually takes steps back. They basically, and by the way, that's at the current rates. That 0.25% loss is at current rates of immigration roundup. The current bill has another $175 billion more for immigration roundup. And that could mean even a bigger decline. Smaller cities are feeling the hit from deportations as ICE raids places like St. Louis, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, where immigration has boosted faltering economies. The arrest cast shadow over the local economy, restaurant tables emptied, kitchen workers staying home, fruit vendors disappearing from the streets. That's what you're getting. And as a matter of fact, yesterday there was an amazing story. This out of California. Lisa Tate's a sixth-generation farmer in Ventura County, California, an area that produces billions of dollars worth of fruit and vegetables each year, much of it handpicked by immigrants in the United States. She knows the farmers around her well. She says she can see with her own eyes how raids have carried out by agents from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the area of fields earlier this month. Part of the Trump's immigration countdown has frightened off workers. In the fields, I would say 70% of our workers are gone. Once again, this is all the farm country of California's Republican area, and they went after them. 70% of the workers are gone. If 70% of your workforce doesn't show up, 70% of your crop doesn't get picked, and it can go bad in one day. Most Americans don't want to do this work. Most farmers here barely are breaking even. I fear this has created a tipping point where most of us will go bust. They go on later on in this story that said, okay, here it is. One Mexican farm supervisor who had asked not to be named was overseeing a field being prepared for planting strawberries last week. Usually he would have 300 workers. He said on this day he had just 80. Another supervisor at a different farm said he usually had 80 workers in a field, but today it's 17. Most economists and politicians acknowledge that many of America's agricultural workers in the country are illegally, but say a sharp reduction in the numbers could have devastating impacts on the food supply chain and farm belt economies. A Republican and former director of a congressional budget office said an estimated 80% of farm workers in the U.S. were foreign-born, with nearly half of them in the country illegally. Losing them will cause price hikes for consumers. This is bad for supply chains and the agricultural industry overall. Over a third of U.S. vegetables and over 3/4 of the country's fruits and nuts are grown in California. I want to repeat that because I want you to go back to those numbers he was saying. They needed 300 people. They had 80. The one needed 100 people had 17. A third of the U.S. vegetables and over 3/4 of this country's fruits and nuts are grown in California. Good luck with that. There's going to be food shortages and things that they're going to be expensive. And I can say this, my grocery bill has skyrocketed in the last 3 months. My grocery bill has already skyrocketed. The state's farms and ranches generated nearly $60 billion in agricultural sales in 2023. They're not even going to get close to that this year because of the war against the people doing the jobs that no one here wants. Because will get off your lazy asses and get out to California because they got plenty of farm working jobs waiting for you right now in the Central Valley. And there is no waiting. They'll bring you on in, pat you on the back. Oh, you didn't want to do that job? Well, what jobs did you think the undocumented workers were doing, you dumb idiots? Exactly. Stein, when we do return, it's the Matt McNeil Show.
The Tom Hartman Show. Now, that's Smart Radio, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner's Supper Club offers a classic nightlife experience with 4-star food, drinks, and entertainment. Enjoy local, national, and international artists in the main stage, Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the Belvedere Under the Stars. Or relax at Maggie's Lounge. Find your perfect concert experience at croonersmn.com. Crooner's Supper Club, where old school charm meets modern nightlife. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having their annual sale for the entire month of July. All of their indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at the lowest price of the year.
Did you know that now there's also a 30% federal tax credit when you install an efficient wood heating stove or fireplace? At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we can explain and show you the many options. We have the Twin Cities' widest selection of wood-burning stoves and fireplaces.
I love my wood stove. We enjoy the sense of well-being we get by cutting and splitting wood to warm our home. Wood is our choice, but you may have other choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether transforming an existing fireplace or adding something new, a clean-burning wood, gas, or electric fire can have you sitting pretty and cozy by the fire.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces at Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis or at woodlandstoves.com. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 87, tonight clear with a low around 66, and Thursday sunny with a high near 88. Celebrate the 4th of July with the freshest ingredients in town. There's Market Fresh Minnesota, located just south of Rosedale on County Road 36, and Shanghai International Wholesale Market, located north of University on Pryor Avenue. They have everything you need, meats, seafood, fruits, and vegetables, all at great prices for your holiday cookout.
This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Jeff. Jeff's Jeff. Jeff.
Jeff Stein's our national and presidential expert. Noted author. You can find his books at your favorite book retailer. The Iowa Business Report, the Iowa Politics Report come to us from his flagship station, KXEL, Cedar Falls, Waterloo, where he's kind enough today joining us. And if you're not watching this on the video, he's got his USA red, white, and blue tie on for the Independence Day holiday.
Because, Matthew, today is
we can't hear you. Can we not hear you?
I don't know why you can't.
Right, there you go. Now you can. There we are.
Because today is the real Independence Day, you know.
Why is because they started the Declaration of Independence today.
This is when they voted.
Yeah. It was a 3-day vote, wasn't it?
No, what really happened was they voted on the 2nd, and then in true congressional fashion, well, we may need to make a few edits. And by the time they sent it to the printer, it was the 4th, and the printer simply put the 4th on it.
Hancock took forever to sign that damn thing. I mean, my God. I mean, how many vials of ink did he need there with his quill?
Well, the problem was he started out by offering everybody insurance and to get them to sign on, and then he signed the document.
Well, it's funny because someone described to me one time, he said, when you look at the United States as states goes, It actually looks like they started on the West Coast. And they said, sure, I can put 50 of these things in here. And as they start going further and further to the east, all of a sudden they're having to scratch little ones in. That's kind of
it's like when you're painting a sign and you think you've spaced the letters out correctly, and then at the end, 5 letters take the space of what one. Yeah, totally.
It's the Christmas card on the office floor. There's 60 people that have to sign it, but the first guy's like, plenty of room here. There you go. And all of a sudden it's like giving them the microscopes going, I can see who signed here.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Let's talk big beautiful bill. I don't know. It seems like the MAGA people on the far right are fairly upset about this. Is there any chance they're not going to, the Republicans in the House are not going to change this? That means it goes back to the Senate.
Okay, first, I refuse to call it the big beautiful bill. It is a reconciliation bill. And
it's an abomination. It's an abomination. It's the largest redistribution of wealth from the poorest Americans to the wealthy Americans in the history of this country. That's what it really is.
All right, but technically it's reconciliation. And did you see where Senator Schumer got the phrase big beautiful bill stricken from the language?
Oh yeah.
I think it's like,
wow. That's putting a Band-Aid to try to stop a freight train, but sure, whatever, man. Well done.
But I just like that it's like, no, we're going to strike this short form, so you technically can't call it that. I thought, oh, well, that's nice. I hate legislation where it's kitchen sink stuff. I don't care what the topic is. I don't care who it is. Why can't you vote on these things individually? And all of the Republicans, when I say, okay, you wanted to renew the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, just go do that. Well, it's not that easy. Actually, it is.
Actually, you could do that tomorrow if you wanted to. Easy.
Could have done it January 21st and saved a lot of problems, because from an economic and business standpoint, had they solidified that before all the tariffs, you'd have had a much better economic result. But my feeling is we can't get it across the finish line if we don't do it this way, then it must not have merit. If each of these individually can't pass on their own. Now, I understand I'm wearing a flag tie and I'm being ever sort of Pollyannish about this, but why not? Why not? Why does it have to be 930 pages? And yes, I think some idiot in the House is going to go off the track and it's not going to get passed by tomorrow night.
I think two things. One is the reason why they make this bill like this is to hide the stuff that they don't want to try to vote on in public. They don't want to have a vote to cut SNAP benefits. They don't want to have a vote to cut Medicaid and Medicare benefits. And so they can fold it into this and then act like they didn't do that. That's the real reason this big bill exists. I've said this yesterday. I do not agree with Rand Paul or Chip Roy on really anything, but I'm going to give those two guys credit, because every single Republican ran on cutting the deficit. And those are basically the only two guys looking around the room saying, didn't we all just say we were going to do this? And we're going to add $4 to $6 trillion to this deficit? That's kind of the opposite of what we promised to do. I think that this is an albatross of a bill. You've seen the numbers. It's deeply underwater as far as popularity. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden you start seeing people peel off and say, okay, well, I've got a little bit of a problem with this deficit issue here. And this doesn't get passed by July 4th. And it does. It could be passed tomorrow. If they really, Trump is pulling out every stop to strong arm everybody. It could happen. But it is going to be interesting watching the far right of the party, because I don't think they're happy with this. I don't think they feel the cuts go deep enough. And I do not think most of them are happy with the massive amount of debt that this is going to incur.
We talked about this on this very fine triple cast weeks ago.
Yeah.
The Republicans are going to push the bill through, because they have to get the 2017 tax cuts to be made, if not permanent, to be extended, because they're going to end at the end of this year. Another stupid piece of lawmaking. I don't care who's in charge. You tell business that you're going to have taxes in a certain level for 5 or 6 years, then it sunsets. Well, now you've got business sitting on cash because they don't know what the rules are going to be. You have citizens sitting on cash because they don't know if they're going to have a tax increase next year, because these monkeys can't figure it out. But the problem with it is the bill may go through, the tax cuts will be made permanent, and the Republicans who spent all this political capital will get zero credit for doing it. Why? Because Matt McNeil will sit there penciling out his taxes next year and say, everything looks the same. They won't get credit for doing it because nothing will have changed. But if it fails, your taxes go up in an election year, and who's going to get blamed? So they're in a bad situation, and they keep making it worse.
Well, I don't know if they're going to get credit because the poison pill goes with the other stuff, the SNAP, the other things, literally shutting. I mean, you're jeopardizing, at least I saw one report, 85% of all rural hospitals are likely either going to dramatically cut services or close. And so
that's really the point. That's my point, is that on the thing they really needed, they're not going to get credit, and they're going to get tagged with all the stuff that's bad.
Well, I also say this. I think they've gotten to the point where they don't realize where they are at with the budget. They can't just keep making. You stop taking in income by stop taxing the wealthy people. Well, you can't start the budget process there. You started the budget process when you said, we're not going to take in enough money to cover our bills. And yet they want to kind of omit that little problem. Well, after 40 years of them continually cutting the amount of money that the wealthiest people have to pay, they don't have any room. They don't have any room left. I mean, they have to literally get to the point of cutting the Department of Defense to basically make this work. They don't want to do that. So the same people that promised they were going to make reduce the deficit are now adding $4 to $6 trillion to the deficit. They just can't do this anymore because there's just no there left anymore.
There's a problem with the Congressional Budget Office modeling in that they do static modeling. In other words, they're just crunching numbers. Okay, now sometimes a dynamic model, these are all terms of art, I didn't make them up, that if you stimulate the economy in a certain way, it doesn't look good on paper, but it actually leads to more revenue that can be taxed. And so what they're saying is they're going to give you more revenue because of the dynamic modeling. Cut the taxes, it's going to stimulate the economy. Okay, all of that. But that's right. I mean, that's what you're hearing.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, what it does is basically these companies buy back their stock, and they, as you said, they hold on to their cash. It doesn't go to job creation. It doesn't go to expansion. It doesn't go to anything outside of maybe a few people's extra, 14th or 15th vacation home.
Even if 14th or 15th, oh well, la-di-da,
So some people tough choices to make.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I should go to the coast or the mountains. I know, I'll do both. Well,
Missoula.
Well, yeah, things are great there.
Yeah, okay.
So the problem is, even if you go along with the Congressional Budget Office does static modeling, but if you do dynamic modeling, it's going to bring in all this money. It's still not enough to cover. It's not when the best you can do to say you're cutting spending is using a different modeling approach, and it still doesn't work. Yeah, just own it. Just own the darn thing, for crying out loud.
And that doesn't even get to the point of talking about taking seniors out of senior centers and putting them on the curb. I mean, it is a mess of a bill, and this is going to hurt a lot of people. I actually want to switch to something else if I can.
Sure.
There is a very alarming thing with Trump and this idea now of going after naturalized Americans. Not people here undocumented, not people who are waiting to become naturalized citizens, but people who have actually gone, and you and I can both talk about the extensive, long, hard to follow, expensive process to become an American citizen. These are people that came here and said, I want to be part of this, did it right, did the whole thing, went through the whole shebang, had the ceremony, raised their hand, they swore allegiance to the country. They're naturalized American citizens, 25 million of them. Trump came out yesterday and said most of them achieved this illegally and says now he wants to deport them. I've said that, okay, so now you've gone after undocumented workers, which we need in this country. They're going after birthright citizenship. Now they're going after naturalized citizens. Clearly, I think the eventual goal for Trump here is to try to get to a point where he can pull someone who's a sixth-generation American citizen because they're a liberal or a Democrat and chuck them into their prisons. And that's where this wants to go. I think that's what he's going to try to get to hold over everyone's head to keep the population in line, in check. And this idea of going after the naturalized Americans, that's crazy, man.
There is a lot of free association. It's kind of like amateur night at the Improv when they do these things in the Oval Office. And, it's just, whoa, we should look at that. No, we shouldn't look at that. I mean, number one, immigration policy in this country is ridiculous at a whole lot of levels. Okay, so that's number one.
We're talking about to come here to the United States. If you want to go out and pick fruits and vegetables, we should be like, come on in. Here's your visa. All our best. Exactly. We should be doing
all of that stuff. The immigration policies in this country are ridiculous, but nobody's talking about fixing that.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
On any side, nobody's talking about fixing that. If in fact you've got, and I know it's a term you love, the bad hombres, where did that come from? I mean, I'm not watching a spaghetti Western on the Grit channel.
Oh, I know we know where it came from.
The bad hombres.
Yes, we know.
Okay. So let's say that there are plenty of bad hombres. Go get them. I mean, if there are bad hombres to the zillions of people that you say, go get them. But if you're trying to meet your quota of how many per day, right? Well, then you've got to go in a different category. That's why we started looking at agricultural workers, folks who work in the travel industry, and then that hit the fan in about 5 minutes, and then there was a backtrack, except there isn't a backtrack, and it's like, okay, tell me what the policy is. And the problem becomes if you just simply say, if you are, quote unquote, if you are here illegally, you go. Okay, there's not one category, right? There's all sorts of different nuances. And how do you tell law enforcement how to enforce a law when that's the guidance? So there's a lot of hyperbole and show, and I don't know what kind of results we're actually getting.
Well, you're not getting any results because, I mean, right before you came on, I talked about the story where a guy was out, they wanted to plant strawberries in the Central Valley of California. Need 300 workers. They had 80 show up. That one guy was going to go harvest crops. They needed 100 people. They had 12. This is the problem. And a competent leadership would look at this and say, okay, clearly the white Americans that are here are not taking the jobs that these people are doing. Maybe we should hold off, get those jobs covered at least. But no, they're just, it's this blind hate and rage about deportation. That is their only driving force.
The one thing I hate, I'm not arguing your position, but the one thing I hate is to say, because of the type of job you're going to do, we're going to either bless you being here or not. That does not seem to be a good policy. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, I know we need seasonal workers. I'm not arguing that. But when you say, if you hold X job, then it's great. If you hold Y job, it isn't. That's a little squishy.
Well, but I think we can have a long discussion about how wages have not kept up and these jobs became unpopular with the population. Tell you what, we'll come back to that. Jeff Stein joining us. It's the Matt McNeil Show. I'll never forget. I was driving my Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, and I was hit at 35 miles an hour, rear-ended square flush. If not for the structural integrity of my Sienna, I wouldn't be here right now. There's a lot I can say about Rudy Luther Toyota, about their fantastic service department and their great selection, but being able to say your car saved my life is the best endorsement I can make. Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota are my highest recommendation. Get one today and tell them me, Matt McNeil, told you to stop on in. Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
I'm Amy Ruzick with No Place Like Home at RE/MAX Results. We were so proud to sponsor AM950's booth and all of the incredible live shows throughout Pride, from the Illegal Trans Woman to the Gailey Show and more. It was an honor to stand with our community and celebrate everything Pride represents. At No Place Like Home, we're deeply committed to helping people find a place where they feel safe, welcome, and supported. We're more than real estate agents. We educate, advocate, and give back. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, we're here to help you feel truly at home. With LGBTQ plus rights under attack, Pride was a powerful reminder of what makes Minnesota special. We're proud to help people find a place where they truly belong. Thanks for celebrating with us. Learn more at noplacelikehome.info. At No Place Like Home, we work hard for our clients while serving the community we love.
This is Mitch, owner of Junk Masters. Feeling overwhelmed by clutter? Spring's the perfect time to reclaim your space and peace of mind. Renting a dumpster is costly, and it all ends up in the landfill. Just show us what goes. We give usable items a second life by donating them. No calling all over town trying to figure out who takes what. We do the legwork for you. Easy, cost-effective, and local. There's no obligation. Visit junkmastersmn.com today.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
I'm Rachel Schroman, owner of Schroman Law, and I believe you deserve information. Our firm offers free quarterly estate planning seminars at our office in St. Paul. At these seminars, you can learn the basics of estate planning from an attorney to help you determine which estate planning documents will meet your needs and goals in an efficient and cost-effective manner. You can learn more and register at our website, schromenlaw.com/events. That's SCHROMEN law.com/events.
Broadcasting in Chicago on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in Seattle 1150 AM KKNW, and of course in the mothership AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, where I am your mother. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Jeff Stein joining us. You brought up that point about jobs in this. I think the problem is we can't take the clock back to 1980 and keep wages and benefits up with inflation as it should have been. And the second you created this massive gap, you created jobs, hospitality, yard work, scrubbing buildings, picking fruits and vegetables, working in farm industry that are just roofing in Duluth. They went up there and they raided a construction site in Duluth in winter with roofers. And I'm like, okay, these are the jobs you said that you wanted. Go up there and start roofing a house in Duluth in Minnesota winter. And there's this problem needs a scalpel. Trump has come in with a sledgehammer, and now all of a sudden people are trying to use a smaller version of a sledgehammer and seeing if that's going to work.
Yeah, you get a smaller hammer and you can chip off around the edges of the concrete. But again, it comes down to, and this is not a breaking news alert, our immigration policy is crap. Nobody wants to do anything to fix it. That leads to a problem like you just mentioned. And if in fact you said, oh, there's plenty of good old Americans who will take those jobs in the meat packing company, not for those wages, and you're not going to want to pay $15 a pound for ground beef.
And last time I checked, I can look at the video stream of this show. You and I were not of the natural people that were here. The indigenous people were here. The Native Americans were here. We came here at one point, and our ancestors were willing to do the jobs that no one was willing to do. That's the system, and it makes us better for it. I mean, it absolutely does. We are a better country by our continuing to welcome people in that want to come here and work. And I think we should not be discouraging that.
Well, two things. One, I'm a second generation American at a time when the way to immigrate was different than it is now. And the population here was different than it is now. Two, anybody watching the live stream know, here are two guys who like to eat.
Oh, yeah, we do. I mean, we do. I mean, I do love it when people say, well, my ancestors came here the right way. Dude, they got on a boat, they got kicked off the boat and strolled on in.
It wasn't the same.
You think they were bringing reams of paperwork and a checkbook? No. They basically were saying, how many Irish we got here? 60, 70, I don't know. Okay, just let them go. And that was it. And when you got to your town and they did a census, that's when you kind of became, and you didn't become a census because anyone questioned you. You are a citizen because of that. They just said, okay, we have 3 Irish people. You're now citizens. And that's how they did it. And now all of a sudden we act like it was different.
Yeah, different standards 100 years ago.
You say you might have a Mike Lindell update.
Well, if you believe the Lindell TV Twitter X account,
okay,
I'm just going to read it and just watch your head explode. Just in with the little siren emoji. Mike Lindell speaks outside the White House after key meetings. says ranked choice voting and voting machines are built to steal elections. Fresh off meetings in D.C. and, underscore this, ahead of tomorrow's sit down with Donald Trump, Mike Lindell slams ranked choice voting and electronic machines as election fraud tools. We can't let the next 4 years be erased by stolen elections, he says.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big day for the president tomorrow. Apparently, he's doing a sit-down interview with Mike Lindell for the Lindell TV streaming channel that I don't know how you get. And then he's coming to Iowa to the Iowa State Fair. Well, to the fairground. The fair's next month.
Two things. One, you and I have talked about this. Voting is done by the states. And I don't even think that Supreme Court would sign off on the federalization of the voting system.
No.
Second of all, doesn't he owe a lot of people some money at this point? I think that I would say that how is he traveling anywhere unless he's hitchhiking across America with a pillow?
Well, hitchhiking with they have travel pillows, so he can just tuck it under his arm, But didn't the company get dismissed from the lawsuit? And so I don't know, is he Trump?
Well, the company's already been sued. His charitable groups are being sued.
What I'm saying is he may personally be bankrupt, but they got the company off of the election fraud suit in Colorado. So maybe he's, ostensibly scouting out warehouse locations and just happening to go to the White House while he's there. I don't know.
Maybe he's looking for a place to stay in the alligator Alcatraz, which, by the way, can we bring up this? Because at this point, he's losing everything. I don't see how that's going to be avoided. What's with Trump and the Bond villain prison system? They this whole idea, we're kind of surrounded with gators and boas. They want to reopen Alcatraz, which is just laughable because it's surrounded by sharks. He's a 5-year-old who stayed up and watched a Bond movie and now is dreaming of having a henchman with metal teeth.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. That's very nice. Well, here's the problem I have with it is while that's going on and everyone's watching this, what's going on over here that we're not paying attention to? I mean, that's the part where, and I know I've said this before, and I'm not dismissing the concept of let's feed immigrants to wild game. Okay. I mean, that's not cool.
Oh, no, but you're not far. I mean, it's a kennel for humans. That's what they're building down there. It's a kennel for human beings. That's exactly what they're building.
And the best thing I saw, I think last night was somebody dredged up a clip of Obama talking about putting in moats and having alligators. He was doing it to be critical of the opposition. And it was being presented in this short little soundbite form like, well, see, Obama suggested it. Oh, my God, get nuance, people. For crying out loud, get nuance. But this is the thing. While that dog and pony show is going on to make DeSantis look good for whatever purpose, what's going on behind the scenes? What's going on that we didn't pay attention to? It's a magician thing, right? He's showing you this hand. What's he doing with the other one?
Well, his entire existence at this point is to try to stop people from looking at the pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein and knowing that he 7 times went to Jeffrey Epstein's child sex island on the child sex plane with underage girls, and he doesn't want anyone to actually ever talk about that. And of course, a lot of this, did you notice how much of this started up after Elon went after him?
Well, but we've seen the logs that would have shown. Oh, wait, we haven't seen the logs, have we?
No, exactly. No. Well, we have seen the airline logs, which list him as a passenger on the child sex plane going to the child sex island. Yeah. All right.
In the Gulf of America.
Have a wonderful Independence Day, Jeff.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Chicago, Seattle, I'll talk to you on Monday. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately.
lost back in November.
But there are holdouts in the slim GOP majority, and Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries hopes enough GOP members take a stand.
Just 4. There are 220 of them.
Sagar Meghani at the White House.
Verdicts are in Sean Diddy Combs' trial, convicted of prostitution-related offenses, punishable by up to 10 years in prison, but acquitted on the most serious charges, racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Another rough quarter for Tesla.
Sales of Tesla vehicles fell sharply in the second quarter as boycotts over Elon Musk's political views continue to dissuade potential buyers. Sales plummeted 13% from April to June. Tesla is also facing stiff competition from other electric vehicle makers, especially in Europe, where China's BYD has taken a huge bite out of its market share. Musk acknowledges that his work as head of Doge hurt his company, but he attributes much of the sales plunge to customers holding off while they wait for new versions of Tesla's best-selling Model Y, and Musk recently predicted a major turnaround in sales. I'm Donna Warder.
Still, Tesla's stock rallied after the company delivered more vehicles than expected last quarter, and Nike and other companies that import a lot from Vietnam rose after President Trump announced a trade deal with the country. That helped lift the broader market. The S&P gained 0.5%, closing at a new high, while the Nasdaq rose 0.9%. The Dow edged lower, shedding 10 points. This is AP News.
Discover the 4th of July sale at Target. Save 20% on clothing and swimwear for women, select cookies with Target Circle, and up to 50% off Sun Squad sporting goods. Get ready for a fireworks-worthy celebration with patriotic cookies, fun sports gear, and of course, spectacular fits. The deal's end July 5th, so hurry and get 20% off apparel, select cookies with Target Circle, and 50% off Sun Squad sports gear, only at Target. Restrictions apply.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure, dewy skin. Terrific.
Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare. Wow.
With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Mavericks Real Roast Beef. Mavericks has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Mavericks Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Hi there, it's Jennifer again. I just have to tell you how Hypercharge Wellness has been life-changing for me. After my very first session, I felt a new sense of calm, started sleeping better, and my mind just felt clearer. I still can't fully explain all the science behind it, but I have heard that it's also great for people with chronic conditions, and I can totally see why. Every visit, my lower back pain eases, and I just feel so much better overall. I really noticed when I missed a few sessions recently due to a busy schedule. I could definitely feel the difference, and I knew I had to get back on track. If you're dealing with fatigue, pain, or even chronic issues, you owe it to yourself to give it a try. They even offer a $49.99 introductory session and consultation. Call and get started at any of their 3 metro locations. Check out hyperchargeclinic.com and tell them Jennifer from AM 950 sent you. That's hyperchargeclinic.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 87, tonight clear with a low around 66, and Thursday sunny with a high near 88. For your 4th of July celebration, stock up on fresh meats, seafoods, fruits, and vegetables at Market Fresh, Minnesota, just south of Rosedale on County Road 36, and at Shanghai International Wholesale Market, north of University on Pryor Avenue in St. Paul. Quality, variety, and great prices all in one trip.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here. I am your firework of joy. Watch out, I might explode. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us today, 952-946-6205. Once again, a reminder, we're off tomorrow and on Friday. Drive safe out there, especially, can I just, let's talk a moment here about today and tomorrow on 35 north of town by the Hinckley. construction zone, just take a breath, relax, enjoy your drive. Make sure you got a beverage. Stop. Maybe stop in just south of that. In Pine City, or down there. You can stop in Pine City. Stop at the A&W, get yourself a burger in there, and go to the bathroom. Then get back on the road. All right, there you go. Sanity. All my best on that. I'm old enough now, Patrick, to remember when we had fireworks, you were either on the 4th of July, or if it rained that day, it was on the 5th of July. And usually they were so angry about it being postponed, they pretty much set them all off at the same time on the 5th. Mm-hmm. It's like, boom. Okay, well, we're done. It does run a gamut. There are actually some communities that the fireworks are going off tonight. Well, one community, Bemidji. If you're up in Bemidji, there you go. They're going to have fireworks tonight there. Tomorrow, a lot of places have it tomorrow on the 3rd. Bloomington, Eveleth, Nisswa, Pequot Lakes, Shakopee, St. Louis Park. All of them are doing the fireworks, which I want to say this. I do love that about St. Louis Park, because we can go catch the fireworks over there tomorrow night. And then I'm heading over to Minneapolis on Friday night.
If I can ask a dumb question, do you know why they've made these decisions, or have any sort of inkling?
Okay. It's Summer Fete in Bloomington at Normandale Lake. The Bemidji one was because they had a new vendor. So they had to go early. I don't know why. Maybe they have the vendor set off the fireworks, and so they had to do it early. The Thunder of Eveleth follows a street dance and community celebration in the local food vendors. So the parade is planned for the 4th, but they're doing the fireworks tomorrow night in Eveleth. And which, by the way, if you drive up 53, you think the delays, and you're going to get some delays in Eveleth. It'll stop by Paul's, go get yourself a pasty. Paul Metza and myself will attest it's the best pasty you can buy up on the range. Go get Paul's in Eveleth, and all my best. Imagine, I wonder if they have a booth. Could they have a pasty booth for their event? Man. Pequot Lakes, they just got Stars and Stripes days, but that goes through the 4th. Shakopee, they're doing it down at Canterbury, so that's with horse racing. And then St. Louis Park, okay, so yeah, and here's a weird one for St. Louis Park. If it does rain on the 3rd, they're actually going to do it not tomorrow, on the 4th, rather. They're going to do it on the 10th. So here's all the cities that got fireworks on the 4th. Albert Lee, Annandale, Apple Valley, Austin, Baudette, Cannon Falls, Coon Rapids, Crosby, Detroit Lakes, Duluth, Egan, Edina, Ely, Excelsior. Ely, what is it? Is it? Yeah, okay. It's they're going to be doing a full day of celebrations on there in Ely. Excelsior, Forest Lake, Hastings, Lake City, Lakeville, Mankato, Mendota Heights, Minneapolis, Richfield, Spicer, St. Cloud, St. Paul, Shakopee again. So Shakopee just getting giddy. Stillwater, Tofty, Waconia, Warren, White Bear Lake, and Woodbury, St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. We'll give them a mulligan too. Saturday, there is a community. Cross Lake is doing theirs on Saturday night. Sunday, you get Cottage Grove, Delano, Hudson, Wisconsin. So in those towns, you got to wait a few days, but it's going to be fireworks palooza, especially on the Friday night. So drive safe, be careful, have a good time, enjoy it. I got to tell you something. So you might get a chuckle out of this. I had the chance to run into the guy I did. So I came back to Minneapolis from Ames, Iowa, mid 2000, the year 2000. I came back and was trying to find a radio gig. And there was a guy that used to be over that ran KFAN in town here, a guy named Doug Westerman. I went and talked with him, and he said, "You got a lot of talent." And so I was doing some fill-in stuff for them. The first radio show I did in this town, back when I moved back, was with Dave Sinekin, who's their Packers guy and their NBA guy. And he and I did a show 24 years ago. I had the chance to sit down with Dave, who is an absolute delight of a human being. and just a great broadcaster, a very good broadcaster. And I got a chance to see him again. And yes, we both do not look the same as we did all those years ago when we did that show. But it is bizarre that was my first job I did. This was before Metro Traffic. I did some fill-in work with him and Mike Morris over at the sports station in town. So yeah, it was good fun, man. It's good to see him. It's a nice reminder of that. It's good to see the really good people still in the industry. And Dave was a great guy. And I've met a lot of great people in my years doing this industry. And it's kind of fun to see the people that helped me out early still doing this stuff. And I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that quite a bit. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Okay. So let me make sure we understand something here. You guys on the right, when you sit there and say, we've got to stop all these undocumented people that are here. Now, once again, people that are here to go work in the meat processing plants or in the dairies, doing the jobs that white MAGA just refuses to do. The guys that are out roofing houses in Duluth in winter, or in Minneapolis, St. Paul in winter, or in summer for that matter. Let's just be honest. The guys out mowing lawns, the guys that are out picking up trash, the guys that are scrubbing toilets. You say they're stealing our jobs. Well, those jobs are open, and they're open in mass. Where are your lazy butts? Oh, that's right. This was never about actually getting these jobs. This was fury at how your life had turned out. And so you lashed out at the newest minority groups that are coming into this country in an attempt to try to make yourself feel better. And the reality is you just basically were a drunk in a bar at night, throwing haymakers, hoping you connect with something. That's what it is. And racism, let's be honest. Because you guys keep thinking to yourself, well, there's that one guy who sounds like he was from India and he's working for that major computer company. And I barely passed high school with a GED. I should be the one that's doing the computer programming stuff. I mean, I'll take a few hours of training. That job's not going to get yours. That's not coming your way. That job is not there. And as I said with Stein, we can make an argument about immigration policy that there should have been clearly some things that should have been carved out here where people who are willing to come and do the jobs that American citizens are not willing to do at the rates they get paid should be welcomed in with open arms saying, thank you for being here. Instead, racism. Your entire argument is the mere fact they're here is they're criminals. You guys try to make it seem like every one of them, all the people that were picking the crops and scrubbing a toilet, they were all criminal element. But even when your guys started doing the raids, they could barely find anyone and instead started deporting hairdressers because you're just so desperate to find somebody that was to vilify the press you made up that you now believe. Your entire argument is we just believe in obeying the law and having some justice. That's your argument. That is your argument. We need to hold these people accountable. And as a matter of fact, let's be honest, it's now morphed into we need to torture these people or hope that one day I get to see a guy getting eaten by a gator as he tried to escape. That would be hilarious. Look at that, gator's got him. You're the guys that are basically people should be held accountable. Just want to make sure I say all that before I get into this. An undocumented immigrant charged with killing a woman while driving drunk in Minneapolis last year has been deported to his native country before his fate in a Minnesota courtroom could play out. Your racism overrode your desire to see justice taken care of. You are supposedly the law and order party. You are supposedly the people here that we just want law and order and respect for the laws. Here is a guy, an undocumented immigrant, who killed somebody drinking and driving. We had them in jail. We had them in jail. They were going to get prosecuted and go to prison in America. Now the guy is walking free in Ecuador. Now he's walking free in Ecuador. No accountability. Zero accountability for this guy. Because you know what? Your racism overrules your desire for law and order. This guy was caught. All he had to do was go to court, and they had the evidence. And you guys, because the racism was the most important part, shipped him away before the people of Minnesota could hold him accountable for his horrible actions. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement removed Jermaine Lagari Inga, an illegally present Ecuadorian national, to Ecuador on June 24th, pursuant to a final order of removal issued by the federal immigration judge. Hennepin County Attorney's Office said in a statement on Wednesday to the Star Trib that the deportation of Inga means he will not face any consequences for the death of 31-year-old Victoria Eileen Harwell of Minneapolis, despite being charged in connection with the head-on collision on August 3rd, 2024. The federal government dangerous, mindless commitment to deporting people who should be held accountable in the communities they harmed is devastating the victims and their loved ones, said County Attorney Mary Moriarty. Harwell's father said he was disappointed, but Victor Harwell added, "It doesn't surprise me that the climate of our country that's going on out there." He said he got his heads up from the county attorney's office. His top priority now, Harwell said, is looking after five of his daughters' 8 children. The remaining siblings are in the care of other relatives. I have to keep moving with these kids, said the 67-year-old grandfather. It really hurts me in a way that one day I'll have to explain this to these kids. At the time of the crash, Ingo, who was living in Minneapolis, was the subject of a 2016 ICE order for expedited removal from the United States. An agency spokesperson said the sheriff's office failed to honor the detainer and release Inga on August 6, 2024, without alerting ICE. He was charged with criminal vehicular homicide on May 2nd, jailed May 10th, while the ICE removal order was still in effect, and released on May 13th, posting bond. ICE agents arrested him on May 16th. He remained in federal custody at the Freeborn County Jail until last week's deportation case. The White House cited the case against Inga to criticize some Twin Cities elected Democrats for their policies on undocumented immigrants who commit crimes. We were the ones trying to hold him accountable, you large idiot. You're the one that took the guy who murdered a woman on the streets drinking and driving and shipped him away before he could be held accountable. Sued after federal agent. This highlights the reality. This has nothing to do with illegal immigrants per se, as far as whether they're criminals or anything. It's racism, because even the stupidest dolt should be able to sit there and say, well, if he committed a crime, he should stay here and face the charges, but, and then maybe revoke his bond. He stays in prison. You prosecute him. Nope. He is walking free in Ecuador right now, even though this woman was murdered. At a hearing in May, Hennepin County Judge Amber Brennan asked local prosecutors why it took so long to charge him. Senior Assistant County Attorney Judith Cole responded their office came to the case from Minneapolis police in December, received additional evidence in February. Inga's deportation has led to a warrant being issued for his arrest, despite the long odds of him ever returning to Hennepin County courtroom. The county attorney's office was poised to ask for an especially stiff sentence. Should it have been convicted, the office cited 2 aggravating factors in favor of exceeding state sentencing guidelines. His conduct caused a greater than normal danger to the safety of other people. The crash occurred with a child present, one of Harwell's children. This guy killed this woman in front of a child, and ICE decided, nope, we're not going to prosecute him. We're going to let him go home, even though he murdered somebody. Law and order, my ass. State guidelines in his case would have called for a term ranging from about 3.5 to 4 3/4 years, with 4 years being the presumptive sentence. County Attorney's Office spokesperson said the surveillance video showed him driving an SUV east on Lowry Avenue near James Avenue North, crossing the double yellow center line and hitting Harwell's SUV head-on. The witness told police that he appeared to have been speeding before the collision. Emergency medical responders took Harwell to the hospital where she died. 2 people riding with Harwell, her sister and a teenage daughter, suffered less serious injuries. While responding to the crash, police learned of another collision about 7 blocks away at 34th and Penn Avenues North. Surveillance video of those captured that the Inga had hit another driver from behind, causing slight injuries. Police arrested Inga that evening, and a preliminary breath test measured his blood alcohol content at 0.171, more than twice the legal limit in Minnesota. A test of his blood taken by police about 2.5 hours later found his blood alcohol content was 0.14. At the time of the collision, Inga was driving without a valid license or insurance. So the party of law and order, the party that says we are going to hold these people accountable, takes a guy who murdered somebody driving a car drunk. And not only did he must have been jumping for joy at you stupid federal idiots getting ready to deport him and leaving him scot-free for the murder of a woman. Your law and order doesn't mean a damn thing. The only thing that matters to you, your only compass on this whole process is your racism. That's it. Nothing else. That is it. It is an absolute travesty that this guy was sent back. And I have to ask the question. Did the authorities, when they shipped him back, say, well, he only killed a black woman because the victim was black? Was that the reason why? If he would have killed a suburban teenager, white suburban teenager, would the federal government have said, no way, we're going to make sure you're held accountable here first, then we'll deport you? I actually have to ask the question because I actually think that probably does have to say it. Considering that the racism is the primary goal here, my guess is going to be they said, well, the victim was black. Henceforth, we're not going to hold this guy accountable. It's better for us to get him out of here as opposed to actually have some level of justice. This is just an absolute travesty. And I will not allow anybody who claims to be maggity, MAGA, law and order. I want people held accountable. They're breaking the law. You can no longer say that any of that matters unless the first thing out of your mouth is, boy, was Trump and ICE stupid to deport this guy? That guy should have never been deported. And if you can't say that, then it's clear to me that the only thing that matters to you is the racism as well. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The month of July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, Zero Res is offering a purchase of 3 rooms of carpet clean. Get 1 room free plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. Maybe you're having a barbecue for the 4th of July. We'll also have Aquatennial coming up in Minneapolis later this month. You want to make sure your home is fresh and clean for your friends and family coming over to celebrate. If your carpet's looking more like a snowbank in late March, muddy, crunchy, and kind of mysterious, it's time to call Zero Res, don't you know? These folks come in with their fancy schmancy ZR water. It's like regular water, but with a master's degree in cleanliness. Zero Res can handle it all. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, air ducts, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. So it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res today. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZERO-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. This on top, by the way, this on top of the word you get here, that after Trump threatened sanctuary cities and towns with a cutoff of federal funding, among other things, seven rural Minnesota counties have now signed agreements with Immigration and Customs Enforcement to help implement federal immigration law. Cass, Crow Wing, Itasca, Freeborn, Jackson, Candy, Ojai, and Mille Lacs County sheriffs have signed memorandums of understanding with ICE to cooperate one way or another with the agency in its efforts to round up and deport undocumented aliens. Trump, by the way, won all those counties by a mile at last November's election, although the president failed to win the state. Now, I don't know about you, but if I am an ag producer in Cass, Crow Wing, Itasca, Freeborn, Jackson, Candy, Ojai, or Mille Lacs County, I think I might be a little concerned that the county sheriff is out there looking for anyone suspicious, especially if, like most farms in the state, or most agricultural producers, whether that's a processing plant, a dairy, whatever the case may be, most of them have undocumented workers there. Or has those sheriffs gone to those Republican-leading owners of those agribusinesses and say, hey, just want to let you know here, I'm going to go out there and make it look like I'm for Trump, but I'm not going to come. I'm going to let your undocumented workers stay here. You just keep them out of sight, okay? Just, we're going to do a wink, wink, nudge, nudge on this one, all right? Which, by the way, if that's the case, this is your standard. Your standard is this is a problem. And if you're going to the farmers and saying, don't worry, I'm not going to raid your place, well, then aren't you just a massive hypocrite? Because it's basically all about racism racism, unless it comes up against the big donor in the county, right? If that's the case. Most of the agreements were entered into in February and March, although the Candy, Ojai County Sheriff's Department signed an agreement in May. Mille Lacs signed one just last week. And I would say this, if you are less than Whitey McWhitey pants, I would make an argument that probably going into any of these counties, Cass, Crow Wing, Itasca, Freeborn, Jackson, Candy, Ojai, or Mille Lacs, sounds like the sheriff's looking for you and will pull you over to determine what's really going on here. Yeah. Although all sheriff's departments have agreed to cooperate with ICE, none of them are ready to implement their plans, which include, catch this, 40 hours of training for officers who would enforce federal immigration law. And a degree of cooperation has been agreed to, varies from county to county. Wait a second here. Your entire immigration playbook is 1 week of training? Does it teach you foreign languages? Does this teach you how to identify all federal documents that this person is there? Or because 40 hours sounds like all you're basically doing is, all right, just figure out what country they're from and chuck them in the back seat. We'll straighten this out down at the sheriff's office while I call some ICE guys to come out here. Because that's what it sounds like. 40 hours doesn't sound like nearly enough time to train these people. But there's a reason why these ICE guys are wearing a mask, huh? Okay. Crow Wing County Sheriff's Department, for instance, has agreed to help ICE round up undocumented immigrants it comes into contact with in the course of police work. But we're not going on raids or anything like that, said Crow Wing County Sheriff Eric Klang. Clang is the sound you make when you miss the basket, dude. He also said the crimes would prompt cooperation with ICE would have to be serious. Under federal law, local and state police are not required to enforce federal immigration law. Once again, under federal law, no local or state police department is required to enforce federal immigration law. And there are plenty of legal options, including ones issued this year by Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, that have determined that local law enforcement does not have to comply with an ICE agent detainer request unless it is accompanied by a court order to do so, which, once again, funny story, a lot of these requests don't come with. Now, I find this to be the county sheriffs to be hilarious, because these are, and I'm going to paint with a wide brush. We've had, I'm not saying it's any of these county sheriffs particularly, I'm just saying, we've had you constitutional sheriff dolts out there every once in a while scream when a Democrat's in charge, I'm the sheriff, I'm the highest authority of the land. Federal government doesn't have anything to control me. I'm my own independent agent. I do not need to have to follow anyone else's orders, and I won't because I'm the county sheriff. Ting. Yeah, exactly, that guy. We've had that happen. Funny how all of a sudden when a Republican's in office, like, yo, we're really betrothed to the federal government. I mean, federal government wants us to do something. We have to do it. I mean, I can't really question that. I'm just a county sheriff. I'm not anyone important. Funny how that happens, isn't it? Funny how the groveling happens. Well, Donald Trump might actually come to a rally nearby, and I may be able to go and say hi. Oh, gosh. Well, you sure? I'll round up anyone you want me to round up. You're all a bunch of hypocrites. And like I said, hey, I think you're horrible. I think this whole thing is horrible. I'm very clear about that. But unless you're going to raid all the biggest ag producers in your counties, and once again, let me say this, because if you are undocumented and you're in any of these counties, I would advise you to probably get out of town because, you know, even if you have a job that you've been working at for generations or for 20 years or 30 years, you've been coming up and working on a farm or an agribusiness, it doesn't sound like that's safe anymore in Cass County, Crow Wing County, Itasca County, Freeborn County, Jackson County, Candy-Ojai County, or Mille Lacs County. Sounds like at any point they could kick open the door and round you up. But if these sheriff's offices are not out there willing to go after the largest hirers of undocumented workers in their community, the agribusiness sector, I mean, it's your standards, you fools. You're the guys that think this is the important thing. But then all of a sudden I don't want to upset that he's a wealthy guy. I don't want to upset the wealthy guy. You guys are just all over the freaking place at this point. Undocumented worker kills somebody with their car, an undocumented immigrant and kills somebody with their car, and you ship them back to live free in Ecuador before we can charge them because you're apparently the party of law and order. And my guess is there's already been assurances made in many of these counties that we're not going to go raid your place, Bill. You can tell your workers they're fine. I'm going to guess. I'm just speculating. Pure speculation. I could be completely wrong. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
July is the annual store-wide sale at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Come see our diverse selection of wood, gas, or electric fireplace products for indoor and outdoor living. And right now, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can assure you the best price of the season on every product in the store. Let Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces help you choose and experience the joy of sitting by a fire.
Summer is a great time to install your fireplace. You can find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert. Come and see the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. They will create a fireplace that works for you. Efficient, clean burning, and environmentally smart.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
I'm Amy Ruzick with No Place Like Home at RE/MAX Results. We were so proud to sponsor AM 950's booth and all of the incredible live shows throughout Pride, from the Illegal Trans Woman to the Gailey Show and more. It was an honor to stand with our community and celebrate everything Pride represents. At No Place Like Home, we're deeply committed to helping people find a place where they feel safe, welcome, and supported. We're more than real estate agents. We educate, advocate, and give back. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, we're here to help you feel truly at home. With LGBTQ plus rights under attack, Pride was a powerful reminder of what makes Minnesota special. We're proud to help people find a place where they truly belong. Thanks for celebrating with us. Learn more at noplacelikehome.info. At No Place Like Home, we work hard for our clients while serving the community we love.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Alolia. Tonight, clear with a low of 68, then Thursday, warm sunshine with a high of 87. Stock up for your holiday weekend with the freshest meat, seafood, fruits, and veggies at Market Fresh, Minnesota, just south of Rosedale Mall on Fairview Avenue in Roseville, and Shanghai International Market on Pryor Avenue in St. Paul, just north of University Avenue.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Hey, just a quick update here from our friends over at Crooner's Supper Club and Showroom. I'm going to read this. This is off their social media here. Both of tonight's shows have been postponed due to unforeseen circumstances. The music of Jimmy Buffett show has been moved to August 10th. The Mary Cutrafello show has been moved to September 11th. All tickets have been transferred to those dates. If the new dates don't work for you, contact their box office. So once again, the two shows that they had scheduled for tonight have been postponed due to unforeseen circumstances over at Crooner's Lounge and Supper Club. So just FYI, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I am not going to let this go. There was, and this is once again an editorial I saw this weekend, and this was about how the governor goes up to Bemidji and to go deal with what was a horrible storm. And like I said, I was up there when that storm came through. I was lucky enough that I was in Bemidji. I was up on the Iron Range, and it had kind of tracked north of us into Canada, but we still got hit with a pretty big freaking storm. Not as bad as I got hit in Bemidji or out in the Dakotas. And the last time I checked, FEMA ain't coming for you guys. You're not going to get FEMA scrambling up there to get you some federal dollars. Nope, that's not going to happen. So the only person that's going to come up there from the state is the governor. And the governor goes up there. And in the comment section of something called the Bemidji Chit Chat Facebook page, one person mentioned bringing out guns to potentially shoot the governor. Another person suggested getting rope, I'm guessing to lynch the governor. I've tried to go look. I can't find any posts on those pages about that. But there are two groups. There are two Bemidji chit-chat groups that are private, and I'm not about to go through the process of joining them. I have said this, and people have given me some suggestions. We probably could, if we could time machine who these people are, we could probably find that out. But we just had a few weeks ago the Democratic Speaker of the Minnesota House brutally murdered by a terrorist at her front door. Her husband as well. A terrorist attack where they shot somebody. They shot the speaker. Senator Hoffman and his wife were also shot. I have no patience for you stupid, dim-witted morons that think governor's coming, get my guns. Because this is the pants wetter that when we get him into court and the prosecutor says, okay, so why don't you explain the joke? If you don't understand humor, I can't help you. No, I want you to explain what's the joke. Because the joke seems to be, I want to shoot the governor. I was just kidding. I didn't really mean it. Well, there's got to be consequences for this. So I would love to know who these two people are on this page who felt like sending a death threat, whether implied or not, was appropriate. And I want to know the names of the people that did this. Now, my guess is the same pants wetters have probably deleted their account because people are starting to get upset about what are you doing? Not good enough. Heck, I want to go knock on their door. Because if they're like if most of the people that are online, they're tough guys when it comes to online. With their keyboard, they're all tough guys. But if I walk there, so what's this about you threatening to bring out a gun when the governor came in here? I want you to get off my front porch. I'm wet myself. Exactly. I have no patience for this because we just had a terrorist assassination in this state. And it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. A week before we actually had the memorial service for the speaker, after the terror strike, it's amazing to me that these people think that this is okay. Just disturbing. And don't give me, hey, you've got the right to freedom of speech, but you do not have the right of freedom of consequences. And no, freedom of anonymity is not in the First Amendment either. So I want to know who said this. And if we basically make an example out of these clowns, maybe, just maybe, when the governor goes on out because there's flooding or a tornado or a blizzard in some red district of the state, he goes out there to try to help them. The idiots think twice about trying to put out a death threat on the governor. Just maybe. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I have zero patience for this. From the Sahan Journal, a budget bill passed by Congress on Tuesday with billions of cuts for federal nutrition programs will strain the ability of Minnesota's agencies and local food banks to help families in need. A massive spending package, a priority of Trump's administration, includes $186 billion in cuts to the federal supplemental nutrition assistance program over 10 years. Although the Senate version scaled back the $300 billion in cuts to the House version, the loss in funding could still affect as many as 40 million Americans, including 16 million children. The bill contains $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, including an extension of Trump's 2017 tax breaks for the wealthiest households. Republicans included cuts to safety net programs like SNAP and Medicaid to offset the tax cuts and the new spending. It's the largest transfer of wealth from the poorest Americans to the wealthiest Americans in the history of this country. End of story. It is the largest transfer of wealth. And that's a fact. That's just a fact. You are taking a massive amount of money and services for the neediest people and giving it to millionaires and billionaires who just do not need that money. And no, they're not going to go create jobs. And no, they're not going to do that. It's about jamming it in their pocket. The bill increases work requirements to be eligible for SNAP, eliminates eligibility for legally admitted immigrants, and shifts a percentage of the cost burden to the states. That's where it's probably going to be there. If you did not see John Oliver's Last Week Tonight from this last Sunday, it is, by the way, which the St. Paul Saints got a run in on that episode. But he basically broke down this bill, and he pointed out is that the program that this is based on failed spectacularly in Georgia because the paperwork requirements are obscene for the people in need. And once again, this is one of the things which he points out amazingly well. These Republicans who will get up on a podium and smack it with their fists, screaming with veins popping on their faces about how we can't burden big business in this country with paperwork, are the same exact people who cannot burden the poor enough with endless documents and paperwork because they know if they make the process difficult and hard to follow, there'll be natural attrition. And their entire goal is to get people who are eligible for these funds to not take them. It's not about cost-cutting savings. It's not about stopping people abusing the system. It's about hurting the needy just to hurt the needy so that they can lie down on the ground and let the billionaires walk on top of them because heaven forbid their feet touch dirt. Yep. About 440,000 Minnesotans receive SNAP benefits each month. About 45,000 would be at risk of losing their benefits altogether, according to an analysis of the House version of the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Michelle Ness, executive director of PRISM, which runs a marketplace food shelf in Golden Valley, says SNAP, along with food shelves and other meal programs, are pieces of a patchwork of resources available to those experiencing food insecurity. And once again, if this goes away, you talk to anyone that runs a food bank or a food shelf, it's going to be really bad for them. They're just not going to have the money to offset the need that's going to be there. And when these programs, when these cuts take place, it's going to basically be just it's going to be really freaking ugly. SNAP allows a very dignified way for people to get the grocery store and just not anyone else, and just like anyone else, and be able to get the items that they need. The proposed changes of this bill are extremely restrictive for those receiving these services and financially shifts the great deal of the burden to the state, which cannot afford it. For Minnesota, which is already facing a budget deficit in coming years, according to the state's economic forecast, the state would need to make up the loss of $220 million in federal dollars. If state officials can't find the funds to close that gap, that will ultimately mean cuts to how many people can receive benefits, said Shannon Moore, Deputy Assistant Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Children, Youth, and Families. 45,000 people in the state of Minnesota will go without food with these cuts. 45,000 people. Let me put this into perspective for you. It's pretty much the population of Moorhead and Mankato, slightly smaller than Shakopee. So let's take Mankato. Would you, as a Christian person, be for starving the entire city of Mankato? Would you? Christian? Would you? Because I'm not. I know religious content. You do or don't do whatever it is you do or don't want to do. I'm a Christian. The Gospel of Matthew very clearly says you need to feed the hungry. Doesn't say make them run through shame hoops or fill out stacks of paperwork every 6 months. It never says to make them pee in a cup, or that they have to run past a bunch of white Republicans screaming at them, "You're lazy moochers." No, it just says feed them. And here you guys are, the Republican Party, namely the four atrocious souls of Stauber, Emmer, Fischbach, and Opie down in one. They're basically saying, I'm perfectly okay with starving the entire city of Mankato, Minnesota. The entire city of Mankato. because a billionaire needs a tax cut. Boy, that sounds pretty heartless and cold when you put it like that, don't you? You know, it does. That we're going to just put a ring around Mankato and starve everyone in there because the money that's going to go to the food to help those people has to go to a billionaire. Already has billions of dollars. And they're just going to and they're just going to wheel up a bunch of cash to their front door, ring the doorbell. They open up the door. They're going to dump the wheelbarrow of cash in there and say, see you tomorrow. By the way, pay no attention to the story of all the people in Mankato dying of hunger. Yeah. But this is Republican America. This is what you idiots voted for. And once again, don't you dare, when you look at stuff like this, don't you dare criticize anybody for not feeling the most proud about America right now. As you go to your fireworks display this weekend, look around at the crowd and imagine how happy you should be to know that pretty much everyone that you're seeing is going to be, that would be equitable to the number of people that the Republican Party is going to starve because they want to give a billionaire a tax break. Not very Christian, man. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, come back, wrap up the show for the week. When we do return, it is the Matt McNeil Show.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Rudy Luther Toyota is the dealer you can trust. Go to rudyluthertoyota.com to browse their inventory of new and certified pre-owned vehicles. Style, performance, and reliability. You can find it all at Rudy Luther. With every new and certified pre-owned vehicle, you'll get a Luther Advantage card. Save 10 cents per gallon at the pump and get $6 Works car washes at Holiday Station stores. That's right. You can get a great vehicle and help stretch your budget even further. Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
For a decade, it's captivated Twin Cities audiences, and now the cultural phenomenon Glen Sheen returns. This captivating musical by Jeffrey Hatcher and Chan Poling features strong performances from a talented 7-member ensemble and Ron Peluso's brilliant direction. It's a limited engagement July 7th through the 25th at the History Theater in downtown St. Paul. Get tickets at historytheater.com. That's History Theater, spelled R-E, .com.
Discover a world of foods. Visit Shanghai International Wholesale Market, a spacious food warehouse open to the public with discounts for buying in bulk. Incredible selection of global and local foods, 500 different types of noodles, specialty items, and local foods you won't find anywhere else. Shanghai Wholesale Market, your local international food warehouse. Shanghai is just north of University Avenue off of Pryor.
One, two, three, four.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Oh boy, do we have a day for you here. We're just getting started here. I don't know where you're going, guys. We've got Native Roots Radio coming up with I Am Awake. Robert Pilot and crew there. You will be smarter and better for listening to that show. It is a brilliant show. Native Roots Radio up in the 5 o'clock hour. Then I got to call out Brett. Apparently, yesterday, when we were talking about Ghostbox Radio, which is on at 10 o'clock tonight, Greg Bakken and crew, we got your Sasquatches, we got your Psychics, we got your Doctor Who, aliens, ghosts, lots of ghosts, a lot of creepy ghosts, too. Yeah. And maybe a lovely omelet recipe. I don't know what else he's going to be talking about, but it's Greg Bakken. It's Ghostbox Radio. It's a fantastic show, 10 o'clock weeknights here. Yesterday, I was told that Ghosts of the American Revolution was what they were going to be talking about yesterday. No, that's actually today's show. So if I mentioned that yesterday and you tuned in to want to hear Ghosts about the American Revolution and instead got, I don't know, an omelet recipe, my bad. But tonight, Ghosts of the American Revolution, as a guy that grew up in Rhode Island, that stuff is fascinating to me. So listening tonight, 10 o'clock, Greg Bach and Ghost Box Radio. Brilliant. Plus, of course, you got Patty coming in there. We got all sorts of great shows. Stay with us all day long. We love to have you here. It is a lot of fun. Good news out of Wisconsin. Oh, reminder. Remember when Elon Musk was trying to buy a Supreme Court justice seat over there? Oh, yes. The Wisconsin Supreme Court's liberal majority struck down the state's 176-year-old abortion ban on Wednesday, ruling 4-3 that it was superseded by newer state laws regulating the procedure, including statutes that criminalize abortions only after the fetus can survive outside of the womb. The ruling came as no surprise, given the liberal justices control the court. One of them went so far as to promise to uphold abortion rights during her campaign 2 years ago, and they blasted the ban during oral arguments in November. The statute Wisconsin legislators adopted in 1849. Once again, I want to make sure we understand. Republicans were trying to uphold a law in Wisconsin from at the same time where you could have really weird facial hair running down the side of the face. Oh, yes. And slavery was still around. Yeah, they were for those pro-removal of slavery laws. They loved them. Widely interpreted as a near-total ban on abortions made it a felony for anyone other than the mother of or a doctor in a medical emergency to destroy an unborn child. The ban was in effect until 1973, when the U.S. Supreme Court's Roe versus Wade decision legalizing abortion nationwide nullified it. Legislators never officially repealed it. However, conservatives argued the U.S. Supreme Court's 2022 decision to overturn Roe reactivated it. Post-Roe laws effectively replaced the ban. That was the ruling. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul, a Democrat, filed a lawsuit that year arguing that abortion restrictions enacted by Republican legislators during the nearly half century that Roe was in effect trumped the ban. Kaul especially cited a 1985 law that essentially permits abortions until viability. Some babies can survive with medical help after 21 weeks of gestation. Lawmakers have enacted abortion restrictions under Roe, requiring women to undergo ultrasounds, wait 24 hours after having the procedure, and remove written consent, and receive abortion-inducing drugs only from doctors during an in-person visit. What's funny is apparently when the election was over and the Supreme Court justices, it became a more liberal court. There were people that had run in there to try to get this, this upheld. Suddenly, all of a sudden, a lot of them kind of withdrew from the case. Suddenly, all of a sudden, when they couldn't rig the system anymore in Wisconsin, they withdrew from the case and kind of went on their own. So, yeah. There you go. So good news out of Wisconsin. And once again, Elon Musk still sucks. Just in case anyone's wondering. How's the ketamine, you freak? Anyway, I allegedly. All right. Once again, this is our last show before the Independence Day holiday, 4th of July weekend coming up here. Have a good weekend. Drive safe. Once again, watch out for construction zones, all that stuff that's all over the place. Give yourself plenty of time. Be safe out there, especially be out safe there. If you got the fireworks, hold off on the liquor if you're going to be dealing with the fireworks. Trust me, a good combination there. Have a good one. We are back. We got best of shows tomorrow and on the 4th. Back live on Monday. Native Roots Radio is up next. Have a good one till Monday. See ya.
For the best and biggest fireworks selection, there is only one place to go. Fireworks City in Baltimore.